Yeah, here we go now, baby. We are right back into the action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Coverage MLB Props Picks program right here on the Coverage YouTube channel. Great big show planned for you guys today. Not a big board in Major League Baseball, but a lot of bets to like jingles, and I have 8 total bets between the two of us. Then in the second half of the program, our guy, Gary Sheffield Jr., will be here to break down all the headlines, all the hot topics in Major League Baseball. The trade deadline is a week away. Shout out to the guys in the live chat. Jared King there says, let's go Blue Jays. Indeed, let's go Blue Jays. We have 2 picks for that game with the Jays headed to Detroit to take on the ice-cold Tigers. Let's get into it. Let's bring in the first guest here of the day. Jingles, I thought of this when we were prepping for the show here. It's been a while since you and I have been on screen together. I feel, of course, NFL season, that's our bread and butter. We're looking forward to that, but it's good to see you, buddy. How'd your day go yesterday, MLB betting wise, and how's the week going?
Very good day yesterday. Lotto play, $35 for $1,200. It was my mom's birthday. I took the mom out, the dad out for lunch around the corner. Wasn't really worried about the numbers. Wasn't really sweating the bet. Came home. My son's name's Hogan. So I bought like 4 Hulkamania bandanas. So they came in. So I was trying them on. And then all of a sudden, I didn't even know that someone's like, hey, we hit that bet. So it's nice to hit bets when you're not sweating them out, to be honest.
Now that's not after Hulk Hogan, is it?
It's kind of, yeah.
Really? Okay. I never knew you were. My son's name is The Rock, actually. So there you go. No, that wasn't funny. Okay. Yeah. Before we turn people off here, let's put an end to the small talk. Let's get right into the action here. We have one afternoon game, the Orioles in Cleveland to take on the Guardians, and you have a bet for this game.
Yeah, always getting some afternoon action on. Let's go. Allen over 16.5 outs, -120. There's some -125s out there. This is kind of in no man's land, and it's going to move to 17.5. If it moves to -130 or shorter, I think you get the 17.5 at even money. Afternoon lineup for Baltimore, who was absolutely terrible versus left-handed pitching. And he just had a run of like 4-0 to the over on the total before having a bad inning sink his last outing. But he was still efficient in that. He was a 1 out short of this. He went 5.1 outs, and he was 77 pitches. So this is a guy who can get deep and still keep that pitch count very low. But if he needs to run up that pitch count, he can, because he's gone averaging 95 pitches per start over his last 6 games before that last outing. So deep leash, can get efficient. He hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in 7 straight starts, and he gets a good matchup. Also, crazy wind in Cleveland today. 16 miles an hour or 12 miles an hour, right to left, should knock down some balls. 16 miles an hour is in Detroit, so they'll keep an eye on some weather stuff.
Okay, there you have it. Okay, let us go to St. Louis, where the Padres are in town. Hitting prop for me, I'm going to take Manny Machado to go over his 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs coming in at -125. Great career numbers against Sonny Gray. He has a lot of experience against him. He has a .344 career batting average with a .955 OPS. Machado hitting a little bit better on the road here this season. And the other part of this bet is Sonny Gray. I think that this guy could be horribly out of rhythm here. Rough end to the first half of the season. Back-to-back starts where he failed to reach the 4-inning mark, and maybe coming off the worst start of his career, too. He allowed 8 earned runs off 11 hits. So you combine that with the extended break, he might be out of rhythm here. Machado on the road. I like him to stuff the stat sheet a little bit, go over that 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Okay, the Blue Jays going to try to stay red hot here. Eric Lauer has been a bit of a pleasant surprise here for Toronto. And you have a bet for him tonight in Detroit.
Yeah, there's some variance in this because we need that leash to go, but over 15.5 outs +130, probably a buy to the +115 that's also available. As a starter, 9 games, less than a hit per inning, more than a strikeout per inning. He's been great, 235 average against, 361 ERA. He's been a very good bright spot. We just need to get that leash. We've seen some starts where he can get 85 up. We're hoping that's here versus Detroit, who, as you said at the top of the shop, is the worst offense since the break, scoring 9 runs in 6 games. This is a Detroit team that's also 1-9 straight up. Absolutely reeling. The Jays come in hot. And I know the bullpen's a little fresh, but hey, getting outs early in a series, especially a big 4-game series, is massive right now. So let's do that.
Indeed. Okay. I'm going to pinpoint this one as my best bet of the day. We're going to head down to Houston, where the Sacramento Athletics are in town. Luis Severino. And the plus money has a lot to do with the reason why it is pinpointed as my best bet of the day. We're going to go under 17.5 outs, plus 120 odds. So check this out. A little bit of a narrative applied to this one. The trade deadline is a week away. And according to Ken Rosenthal, the Athletics are listening to offers on Luis Severino. So a little bit of extra incentive for them not to run him in to the ground. So maybe he doesn't go as deep into a pitch count as he typically does. Maybe at the first sign of trouble, once he gets to that 70 pitch mark or so, they'll look to yank him out of the game. So combine the narrative with the fact that he has not reached the 18 out mark in 6 consecutive starts. Now, one of those came against the Astros. He allowed 9 hits in that game over 5 innings of work. The Astros are hitting well this month. Really well, actually. They're third in OPS so far this month. And current Astros hitters have combined for an 804 OPS against him in 95 combined at-bats. Luis Severino under 17.5 outs. Okay, let's go back to Detroit. You have a bet on the full game total.
Under 8.5, even money, go to minus 110, I think, for this spot. The Jays enjoyed some poor Yankee defense, to say the least. That got their runs on the board. There were some spots where, let's say, game 2, maybe Vladdy in some spots that didn't really get things done. But this is also a giant letdown spot for Toronto after another Yankee series traveling to Detroit. And like we said, Detroit's offense right now in a rut, just not scoring since the All-Star break. And I want to see something in this offense until things turn. And then I'll start to back them. But right now, this was a great team that was playing above expectations, who right now is working through some things. And I really think that this matchup, Reese Olson versus Eric Lauer, might be more underrated than it is. 2 guys who have lower pitch counts, who can dominate, who can get deep. Reese Olson shut down this Jays offense back in May. 1 hit allowed over 18 outs. Give me the under here, and look for the Jays to be a dog in this series every game over 4 games. And then Sunday's the big one, Gosman versus Skubal.
Okay, around 860 viewers watching live right now across YouTube and X right now. Pretty active live chat here today. We encourage you guys to drop your best bets of the day in the live chat. We'll read a few off before the end of the show. Mr. Greg says, who could possibly want Severino? I tend to agree. Severino absolutely sucks in the playoffs. He is not good in the big spot. I'm sure Gary will tell us all about that. Severino, his time as a Yankee, did not go well there in the playoffs for him. Severino, only 31 years old, by the way. This guy's been around forever, so still a relatively young guy. Okay, let's go back to Houston for another hitting prop. Yanni Diaz, we're going to take him to go over his 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, minus 115. Kind of another fade of Severino here, because Diaz has really had his number. 10 career at-bats against him, 4 hits, including 2 home runs, 6 total RBIs. He does his best work at home, where his batting average 42 points higher. His OPS is 123 points higher at home compared to on the road. Maybe starting to heat up here. Tiny sample size, but he does have 5 hits over his last 2 games, so he's seeing the ball really well right now. Diaz over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. You have a pitcher prop for this game. What do we got?
Jason Alexander is back, which is fun to play here, and he's facing his old team again. He's had 1 start. He hasn't been great at the MLB level, but he's getting another shot versus the Athletics, who he saw in his only other start. 6 innings. They pitched him deep. It was his former team. He had 3 walks in that game. He's been busy, but he's been elite at AAA in Sugarland, but the walks are an issue. And I really think that this should probably be 20, 25 points shorter at this price, because we've already seen that Houston's going to give him a big leash. So this is his, 2nd game, 3rd game, and he's just been beat up. 21 walks in 42 innings at AAA, where he's pitching well. And in the big leagues, 10 walks, 15 innings. I'll take that down to minus 125, I think, today. And I just need that full leash. Everything comes down to full leashes in terms with these pitcher props, but I think they can throw them out there for 85 to 90, I think, today.
Nick in the live chat says the New York Stankies will take Severino. I don't know about that. I think they probably would have learned their lesson seeing him in the postseason a couple times for them. Okay, let's wrap things up here. And how about a little bit of goddamn respect for the Los Angeles Angels of USA, California, planet Earth, North America. You got to love what we're seeing from these guys lately. They've had a couple hot spots here this season. They're having one right now. I got no respect for the bullpen, though, so we're just going to stay to the first 5 innings. Minus 135. Kikuchi on the mound for them. And I know what we all woke up thinking. We all woke up thinking, you say Kikuchi revenge game. Indeed, he's going against the Seattle Mariners here, his former team. He's been absolutely fantastic at home here this season, guys. He has a 1.98 ERA across 10 starts. He's held Mariners hitters to a 585 OPS and 93 combined at bats. Seattle is ice cold out of the All-Star break here offensively, 29th in OPS. Not the Angels, though. They're seeing the ball really well right now. They're 4th in OPS since the All-Star break, and I've been hitting well all month here, 6 in OPS over the month of July. Now, Logan Evans gets a start here for Seattle, the pride of Ann Arbor, Michigan. In case you were wondering, I'm sure Jingles was wondering where he was from. The pride of Michigan. He has not been good on the road. He has an ERA over 5 on the road. And check out this stat. When I make these first 5 bets, I like to see how teams perform, specifically in innings 1 through 5. Seattle or the Angels come out swinging. They come out hot. They're 7th in runs scored in innings 1 through 5 this month. The Mariners, 28th. So a lot of ammo to back the Angels there. Innings 1 through 5, first 5 bet on them. Nick says, or N. Perez says, any thought given to the cross-country travel for the Angels? I often think stuff like that can be overrated. You have a different pitcher. It's not like Kikuchi pitched yesterday for them. The amount of travel in baseball, I think these guys are used to it. I think it's fair to factor that into some handicapping with NFL, maybe some NBA and hockey a little bit. Jingles, do you factor that type of travel type of stuff into your handicapping for baseball?
Just looking at FanDuel right now, looking at highest scoring teams for the day. The betting favorite today, the Halos at plus 600. So there you go. Trust the market.
There you have it. Okay, buddy, you're off tomorrow, I believe. A couple long weekends for you with football season's going to be here before you know it. Summer's it's going way
Hall
too
of
fast.
Fame game, bud. The Hall
Do
of
not
Fame
wish
game.
it away. Do not wish it away. Okay, buddy, we're going to leave it at that for today. Make sure you're following Jingles over there on X. He's dropping some great nuggets here throughout the day. So best of luck with your bets, buddy, and enjoy the games tonight.
I appreciate it. Don't forget to mention to Gary about that Yankees defense, bud.
4 errors last night. All right. Thank you to Jingles. Now let's get into some MLB headlines with our guy. I haven't spoken to this guy for a couple of weeks here. Gary Sheffield Jr. Gary, how you making out?
It's been a tough week. And as Josh mentioned, this is it's a learning experience for the Yankees. I think they're learning about themselves. I can't wait. What's up?
Okay, so yeah, let's get right into that. So the Yankees dropped 2 of 3 versus the Blue Jays. The game was pretty tight there for the most part last night, but I guess the big headline out of last night, 4 errors for the Yankees. This is Major League Baseball, Gary. So any big takeaways from what you've seen from the Yankees during the second half here so far?
You know, first and foremost, I remember months ago you asking me if the Blue Jays could be serious contenders. And you look at the John Schneider-led Blue Jays and you say, well, that team, obviously, it pops up off the screen how much more fundamental they are, how much more well-coached they are. And that's something that was the biggest takeaway for me. You look at the Yankees and they walk off the field in 2024, you're like, all right, the fundamentals are just clearly, they've completely eluded this team, right? Judge is out of position in center field. He's not catching fly balls. This team's not covering bases. You'd assume this would be the first thing they'd address going into 2025. Clearly not, right? Cabrera goes down with a major injury. Oswald Peraza, is now a problem. He's hitting a $140. You'd think, okay, with that, you must be getting great defense. as you saw in this Toronto series, not at all, right? You assume the Yankees are going to get busy in the trade deadline. Eugenio Suarez, Cabrian Hayes, maybe a defensive guy like Hayes would make a lot of sense. The fundamentals are just not there for the Yankees, and it's the difference between the Blue Jays and the Yankees, and that's a good thing for the Jays, is that we can hone in on the fundamentals. We're going to win that 2-1, 1-1 game in the 6th or 7th inning. That's not what you want to hear when you're the Yankees. You're spending the type of money you're spending, and you called yourself a contender. So, yeah, props to you guys.
Okay, let's talk about the big team there in the National League. Of course, I'm talking about the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it's once again about to be an embarrassment of riches for them. So Glasnow's back. He's absolutely cruising for them. Ohtani's getting that pitch count out. Blake Snell is down there in the minors working his way back. Sasaki could be back. So, like I said, the embarrassment of riches, this is what they expected to have for the whole season. They're going to have that for the rest of the regular season if these guys can hold up. So what are your expectations for the Dodgers for the rest of the regular season here?
You know, it's dependent on a few things, right? Mookie Betts, obviously, you saw how much weight he was losing in the offseason and with that Japan series, a whole lot of stuff going on. He is not having the season a lot of us expected. He's just not. He's not the same player right now, but certainly there's time for this to bounce back. It is Mookie Betts. And of course, the volatility of this bullpen is actually their biggest problem, right? Michael Kopech, he's dealing with a knee injury, found himself on the 60-day IL. Brusdar Graterol, I mean, how many times have we said this? 60-day IL, he just began throwing 6 days ago. Tanner Scott, a guy they spent a lot of money on, the back end of that bullpen, elbow injury, he's probably lost, if not for the whole season. They have enough time here to assess their issues. The Dodgers are likely to be fine. They're going to be aggressive at the deadline. No surprise there, so they're going to be deadly by October.
Okay, let's talk about the team that caught all of us by surprise here in the first half of the season. The Detroit Tigers, they're the coldest team in baseball right now, Gary. They're 1-9 over their last 10 games. They're dead last in OPS here since the All-Star break. Do you think that first half was a little bit of a mirage? I don't think anyone's going to catch them in that division. They got such a big lead here, but they're not looking very good.
Yeah, they weren't that good, but they're also not this bad. So there's a middle ground, of course, and I think you understand that. The Tigers, this is a team a lot of people were saying, well, is the Yankees, are they going to have anything to do with this? But now it seems like Toronto is going to be the team or potentially a team that's going to be looking at this matchup. Well, you still don't want to see Tarek Skubal in a series, especially a short one. This team is going to be fine. Offensively, it's not star-powered. They're going to go through the rough patches. I think this is just one of those.
Okay, let's hop over to the NL Central now, where we have a red-hot Brewers team. You know, this is a team that we see in the mix quite a bit over the years, but they're hot right now. So let me ask you, you got to pick today. Who's winning the NL Central? Now, despite having a one-game lead over the Cubs are actually favored over the Brewers to win the division. You can get the Brewers at plus 105. So who would you take today to win the NL Central?
You know what? My head is saying that the Chicago Cubs coming into this offseason, right, and they started getting closer to spring training, they got super aggressive on the Kyle Tucker trade, right? You deal for Kyle Tucker essentially in the Juan Soto situation of 2024, and then they have that combination with PCA. Nobody saw this coming. My head says that the Chicago Cubs are going to win this division. They're just going to find a way to do that. But obviously, if you guys are watching baseball across the world, you're watching all 30 teams. Well, the Milwaukee Brewers are playing better than anybody. They're the hottest team in baseball, and they're doing it with their pitching as well. And you like to believe that pitching is going to be sustainable throughout a 162, and that just tends to be how baseball history has gone. But it's just hard for me to buy into Milwaukee, at least right now, at least for the future. I can really buy into what this team's doing, but I'm going to go Chicago here.
Okay, Zach Wheeler has overtaken Paul Skeens as a favorite to win the National League Cy Young. Do you think better should take the bait on Skeens here now that he's at plus money, just plus 105? Or do you think maybe that's a bad bet with a bit of a form of load management potentially coming for Skeens down the stretch here?
You know, there's certainly potential for the Skeens load management. I mean, we have no idea how it's going to play out, but I saw on FanDuel it was at a plus 105, and I'm sitting there looking at it thinking, well, Paul Skeens has arguably the best numbers in the game. I mean, he's far and away, in my opinion, the best pitcher, but you also have to remember that pitching in contention matters. And I think right now, Philadelphia is starting to overtake, and in the NL East. If they potentially can lose control of that to the Mets, maybe we get back to staring at the numbers again when it's time to vote, and Paul Skeens will get back into the thick of things. So that plus 105 looks pretty good.
Okay, so I think I counted 12 teams that are either in a wild card spot right now or within 4 games of a wild card spot. You have teams like the Texas Rangers all of a sudden in the mix. Who do you think is the biggest pretender among teams that are within striking range of a wild card spot?
I hate saying this, and I love the story this year. For me, it's the Angels, right? And I was hearing it a couple weeks ago. Are they going to be buying? Are they trying to be contenders? I think the Joe Adele situation in Anaheim, I'm happy for the guy. It's a great story. We're getting 237 post-prime Mike Trout. It's not the Mike Trout we're used to. Neto's a good player, but it's not enough over there. I think they have some building blocks for the futures, but they should be a little hybrid of buyers and sellers, in a way. And maybe another team there is Arizona. Still, this past week, they don't want to commit to selling. They just don't. And maybe this Houston series, kind of letting go of the rope, will actually send them the direction they're supposed to be going, right? You lose Corbin Burns to Tommy John. The choice clearly here is to sell.
Okay, we've been talking selling and buying. We've been talking trade deadline all season, throwing out names like Sandy Alcantara. I don't know if anyone wants him. The Marlins will not get the value that they would have liked at the start of the season based on the season he's having. Pablo Lopez, he's out. Jacob deGrom, we kicked him around a couple of weeks ago, but the Rangers are in the mix here for the playoffs, so I don't know if they're too keen to sell on him. So we're a week away from the deadline. Any fresh thoughts on anything going on there?
Sort of what I was saying maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago is that I think Minnesota should be your biggest seller, and they also have the best grounds to actually ask for what they're deserving on the trade deadline. I think in the back end of their bullpen in Duran, I think when I'm looking at this arm, and you look at Major League Baseball, how many great teams really are there? There's certainly good teams. There are teams they have better coaching maybe than somebody else, and it's the difference, right? And you see what's going on with Toronto, much better fundamentals than the Yankees. They're a better team right now. Well, you can argue some of these teams can use a big-time arm like this in a win-now season. There's no great separated team. I think a player like this could be the difference. If Durant flips over to the Dodgers, it's changing the complexion of how teams feel coming in October. Maybe if a Toronto could do the same thing, yeah, it changes the entire complexion of what we're looking at. It's not often, Joe, that you come into a postseason where the trade deadline may be the complete difference between who wins and who loses.
Okay, a bit of a random question here. So I'm on my vacation and I get the alert up. This guy has gone number 1 overall in the Major League Baseball draft. And I got to thinking, the Major League Baseball draft, it seems to come and go with a bit of a whisper. Like, people barely even know it's happening. Now, the NFL has a major advantage because we get to watch all these guys in college football every Saturday, obviously. The NBA, they have a version of that as well. Even the NHL draft is a pretty big deal up here in Canada, at least. Like, we know a lot of these guys coming up. Is there anything Major League Baseball can do to build excitement for their draft, or is it simply one of these things like, the general public does not care about teenage baseball players?
Not a ton. There's not a ton you can do, right? This isn't the NFL, of course, where the best tackle can fall to the Kansas City Chiefs. And look at that. You see him week 1, right? It's just one of those sports where that can happen. Fans care about what can change the reality here in the short term, and that's totally justifiable. That's what TV, it's what entertainment is all about. But maybe Major League Baseball could add during the draft an international process where international signings like Sasaki of this past year becomes part of the draft process. Rather than just getting to hand select where they go, I think it'd be very interesting where you have major league ready talent from Japan part of the draft process. Now, of course, there's some drawbacks here where Sasaki ends up in Pittsburgh. You guys get the deal. But I think as far as entertainment goes, it'd be much more entertaining for some small market teams to say, hold on a second, we may have some talent right around the corner. Maybe that can be interesting.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You seem to have, like, every other year or so, you have an Ohtani or Yamamoto coming up, for example. So, yeah, I think there would be some interest there. I think the big problem, the big drawback with these young guys in Major League Baseball is they're not playing in Major League Baseball right away, right? They're down in the minors for a couple of years, so they don't have that same advantage as the NFL and NBA. For sure. Okay, Gary, we're going to leave it at that. I would say good luck to your Yankees, but of course I would not mean it. I'm a Blue Jays fan, but we'll look forward to catching up with you again next week. Hopefully maybe the Yankees will clean up the defense a little bit.
No, it's all good and fun, and good luck to your Jays in that Detroit series. I'll be watching.
Awesome, man. All right, we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah.
All right, we will leave it at that for today. We're going to be right back with you guys again tomorrow. Derek Carty will be with us for the Bat Axe, and John Metler and I will have our best bets for Major League Baseball. Thank you to everyone for tuning in today, especially the guys in the live chat. Enjoy the games tonight. Best of luck with your bets, and we will see you again tomorrow. Woo!